What I'm about to tell you really happened, and it was crazy. What's up guys, Victor here, and today I'm going to share the details of a dream I recently had about getting cosmetic lengthening done. But first, I got to thank that movie star, lengthening patient JP for putting the thought of getting stature lengthening into my head.
And so Victor, when are you going to be doing your femurs?
I knew you were going to ask that, JP. Got to get the donuts first, win the world title, right?
So I mean, he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Know that if there's complications, it's your choice. I mean, you were warned before, so maybe it's gonna go fine. Maybe you're gonna get crippled, but it's still your fault, you know, because it's your choice.
That's a nice way of putting it, JP.
I'm just kidding, JP. I love you, man. Anyways, a few days after he asked me that, I had a very vivid dream about limb lengthening, and I made sure to write down the exact emotions and feelings that I had so that I could share them with you. So while in this dream, I realized that my legs hurt like crazy and they were all swollen and stiff as if they were broken. Apparently, I had gotten limb lengthening surgery done on my femurs and it was with the non-weight bearing internal lengthening nails. So I found myself in this Home Depot or Ace Hardware-like store, trying to get around on one of those motorized car thingies with my walker hooked on the back to get supplies for whatever the heck I was building. Not the most ideal spot they want to be in post-surgery, but I realized that without that cart, I was limited to very short distances with just the walker. And that brings me to my first point that I want to talk about, which was mobility. It was by far the biggest hindrance that I faced. I immediately understood why prospective patients want a weight-bearing nail for this procedure, but I think it was most likely due to the fact that there was way less prep time for me for my lengthening than you'd ever have. I literally fell asleep and woke up with metal rods implanted into my femurs, so talk about short notice. However, it does humble you quite a bit and makes you not want to ever take walking for granted again. The next thing that I focused my attention on was the pain. I had aching where the osteotomy sites would have been on my femurs, and it was running up and down my thighs, which were swollen themselves. I was actually okay with the pain because I've had broken legs before from an accident when there's no pain meds to help you, and I've had limb lengthening done on my tibia, so it was bearable. It was just inescapably uncomfortable, if you will. Next up was proportions. Now, at this point in time, I either didn't start lengthening yet or I hadn't gotten very far because when I look down at my thigh length, it looks like it does now. But I immediately had this subconscious fear that I would have disproportionate legs when I arrived at my lengthening goal, which I remembered was 6 centimeters on the femurs. So what I did is I imagined my thigh length was a little bit longer and thought to myself that I have to make it to 5 centimeters and reassess everything from there and see how I would like my limb proportions. This is why I preach to patients to lengthen and observe for both height and proportions versus sticking to your original game plan from the get-go, because you might have to adjust things along the way. With proportions aside, I got this feeling that I hadn't won the Natural Pro Bodybuilding World Championships yet, and that immediately got me worried about my altered biomechanics, because I knew that by lengthening my femurs, my compound squatting movements would be altered and affected and force me to take on a new stance and overall trunk adjustment to compensate for this change. I started thinking to myself that I would probably stop at 5.5, maybe 6 centimeters, and still be able to get enough leg development back to be competitive. This is why I stress to professional athletes, do not get stature lengthening done while still competing in your sport, okay? But again, I had no choice, so I had to roll with the punches, and I felt confident that I could adapt after reaching my goal. And then I thought about the height impact. Would 5 to 6 centimeters be worth all this trouble? Would I truly be happy with reaching 5'11", or would I want more? This helped me realize what patients feel when they go through this procedure. The height greed that takes over when you realize that, hey, here I am, I just got cosmetic limb lengthening done and literally could decide what I want my height to be, assuming that my body allows it. How powerful is that? But I quickly snapped out of this illusion, came back to my senses, and realized that I have to keep my, functional health and my final proportions in mind, or else I would probably regret lengthening like many patients do. Now, what was the good and bad of randomly getting cosmetic limb lengthening done on a whim inside of a dream? Well, the bad thing was that there was no preparation at all. Apparently, I woke up and it was done. That's kind of how accidents happen when you injure yourself unexpectedly. But for something like limb lengthening, it definitely wasn't ideal. I mean, I would have loved to have gotten my posterior chain muscles into a more flexible state where they should have been for femur lengthening, as well as my living environment. I would have loved to have it set up with all the necessary tools and spacious openings to avoid any unnecessary, unfortunate blunders. The other bad thing was that I didn't get to finish out bodybuilding the way I would have liked to, and would now have to adapt my training on the fly, yet get to a high enough level where I could still win it, okay? Not where you want to be when you train for over a decade, getting to the pinnacle of your sport, and have a major physical interruption like limb lengthening, which adds significant mental and physical stress. This dream was quickly turning into a nightmare, and it would have, if it wasn't for the good things, which was that I didn't have to pay for it. That's right, apparently someone did it for free. I mean, or maybe they didn't, I don't know, I didn't check my bank account. The other good thing about this was this sense of excitement that I got from realizing that I was going to get taller and finally scratch that itch of wanting to be 5'11" and bounce out my super long 180 centimeter wingspan. But anyway, shortly after this, I woke up from the limb lengthening dream at around, I don't know, 3 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep, so I started to jot down notes, which I just shared with you. But the final point that I thought about was, would it be worth it? I mean, I could see myself doing it to test out a new cyborg nail after I successfully win the world title in natural bodybuilding. And I would love to be 5'11", barefoot, essentially 6 foot in shoes, with full functionality on the back end. But after having stature lengthening sneak up on me and forcing me to take it for a test drive in my dreams, I can literally say that your true fears and concerns only show up when you're actually in the process. But still, the question remains, would I do it? I don't know. Maybe?
The world may never know.
All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Let me know down below in the comments if you fell asleep tonight and tomorrow you woke up in a surreal experience with your legs broken and being lengthened. Would you be happy, sad, or confused about what was going on? Let me know down below, and if you found the video helpful, hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and until next time, this is Victor from Cyborg for Life, signing out. Peace.
Hello, I'm Dr. Artemis. I'm the surgeon that performed the surgery on Victor. He may not know this, but that dream Victor had about having limb lengthening done to him wasn't a dream at all. It was real. We wiped his memory after the procedure. In fact, he currently has our futuristic AI technology implanted into his femurs so that we can slowly hijack his being. At this very moment, he's slowly becoming more and more of a cyborg for life. Would you like to be next?